Hello, I'm going to discuss my signature assessment project that I had to do for one of my last courses at the University of Cumberland. I'm not in school right now, so I'm going to present as if I would if I were in school with my team. So we would start out with our PLC meeting agenda. I believe this is very important to set the stage for what everyone should expect, and also put minutes by each. And it's not necessarily concrete minutes, but we should stick to about that time frame approximately. So I will move on, and my vision statement for a PLC is for a PLC to provide endless opportunities for students to grow academically and personally, to synergize with colleagues and families with an open mind, and strive to develop professionally as educators with the students put first. I think PLCs are put in place to not only allow the students to grow, but to allow teachers to grow. I feel we need to focus on the students, always have them in the back of the mind, but we also need to talk about what we can do to synergize with our families as well as all colleagues in the school, not just our own specific team. I feel like that time is meant just for our team, but we should talk about what we can do with the whole school, other families, and with always the students put first with a growth mindset. So I found a problem in my classroom, and that's what created my PLC plan. The problem in my classroom I discovered was that my students were really struggling with writing. I feel as if a school, we struggle with writing overall. And in my classroom in particular, this is something my first grade students struggle with. And they also don't particularly enjoy writing, so they're not motivated to write. So I will come up with a strategy plan to do this, and I actually did this before we let out of school. So my strategy was students will improve their writing by actually goal setting themselves and self-monitoring their writing skills. They will earn recognition and incentives as they improve their writing skills based on their own individual goals. The article I used to motivate my plan, it discussed a lot in there, the importance of goal setting and how students take ownership of their writing and take ownership of their goals and want to do well whenever they actually set their own goals. Because before I felt like I was just telling them, you need to really work on adding more detail, or you really need to work on using your finger spaces. As of now, they're in charge of that. They decide, and I of course conference with them and talk about it, but they're in charge of their goals. And so the article also discussed how it's important for them to not only set their goals, but to monitor their goals and collect data of their goals, and to use feedback from themselves, me, the teacher, and their peers. So I will utilize this throughout my intervention. I will also conference with students weekly to discuss their writing, their goals, and they will use peer conferencing daily. Before, I feel like I used conferencing, but I was not very consistent about it, and that was my fault. And so now I feel like I'm going to do weekly, and I'll have a schedule, and then they'll get that time with me. They'll really get to push themselves. Excuse me. Okay, so on slide 6 now, I will begin this intervention by meeting with students individually to review their work in their writing folder. Each student in my class has their own personal writing folder. And I will provide feedback for their writings that they have done in the past, for writings they are currently working on, and I'll allow for student voice. I will allow for them to discuss how they felt they have done, their growths and their goals, so something they can grow on and something that they feel like they did really well at, so their glows. Students, I have made a writing goal chart that I put in my classroom, and it's on slide 6. I put a picture on there, and each student will get a sticky note. They will put their name on the sticky note, and then they will move their sticky note to wherever they feel like their goal should be for that time frame. Some students might meet the goal in 1 or 2 weeks. Some students might take a month. It's just whatever their goal is, and whenever they meet it, they can then move it to another place on the chart. So for instance, if Sally wanted to put her goal as adding more detail in the writing, then she would put her name on the sticky note, put it right beside that place on the writing goals chart, that's displayed in my class. Students will self-monitor their goal with there's a writing checklist I put inside each student's writing folder. So every day during writing, at the end of it, they will review their writing, then they will give themselves a check mark if they felt like they used punctuation or they use capitalization, they use those finger spaces. But specifically, they're going to check themselves off on if they met their goal for that time frame or not. So like I said, if Sally's goal is to add more detail, she's going to really look at, did I add detail or did I just make a simple sentence? So she's going to give herself a check if she did, and she's going to leave it blank if she did not. Students will also meet with a peer that's selected by me for the last 5 minutes of writing each day. So during this time, they will read each other's writing, they will discuss things that they did well in, and they will discuss things that they can improve on, or if they will really focus on if they met that goal. But they will give each other compliments as well. Each student will have a scheduled writing conference with me each week. I have a chart displayed in my classroom. So I have 5 students that meet with me on Monday, 5 on Tuesday, and so on. And whenever it's that student's turn, they will bring their writing folder up and we will have some time to discuss their growths and their goals in their writing folder and what we can do to move forward. Each time a student meets their goal that they have set for themselves, they will earn an incentive. I feel like this really helps, especially with my grade level, first grade, and the class that I had this past year a lot. So incentives can be very simple though. It can be a certificate saying, way to go, you met your goal. It could be a shout out during our school-wide Monday morning meetings. It could be a sticker or a special pencil. So I used paper pencil checklist in my class, but I just converted it over into a Word document to display for this PLC plan, and it's on slide 7. And what I did is whenever I conferenced with them weekly, I would give them a check if they met their goal, if they're working towards their goal and showing progress, and I would not give them a check. Actually, I would give them a check on the other side showing that they did not meet their goal and they really need a lot more work to do. So out of my 24 students, 4 students did not meet their goal, which I thought was pretty good for a class of 24. So I came up with next steps of what to do. And one of those next steps is to take those 4 students to really meet with them more often. Maybe I need to meet with them 2 or even 3 times a week instead of just that one scheduled time. And I need to kind of guide them maybe more into setting their goals, or ask them, prompt them, why did you choose that goal? How do you think you can get that goal accomplished? And really work on them more with that goal setting and goal monitoring. Some other next steps I include is I'm going to continue these interventions I have in place because I felt like they were going really well. Even though it was the end of the school year, I didn't have much time, so I really want to start off the next school year fresh, and I want to implement these interventions and start them from the very beginning so everyone knows what goal setting is and everyone has that time to practice and really utilize it. Also want to incorporate writing throughout all content areas more often. Even though we do writing in content areas, I feel like it's not too often and I want to do it more frequently. So I feel like that would help get them more comfortable with writing and show them that writing can be in all areas, not just during that writing portion of the day. So that is my PLC plan. Thank you very much.